time, I'd like to call the Springfield Local School District Board of Education meeting to order. Chris, could we please have the roll call?
Mrs. Dodson.
Here.
Mr. Hofer.
Here.
Mr. Hess.
Here.
Mr. Dinkins.
Here.
Mrs. Collins.
Here.
And now we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we will have presentations, beginning with a construction update by Bill Stauffer.
Thank you, Mr. Hess. Over the weekend, Mary Lou Dodson, our board member, received an email from a community member filled with rumors about the new 712 building and the construction that's going on there. I thought tonight is a good time to bring everybody up to date on the construction project and specifically what the problems are. Specifically, the rumor that was in the email that Mary Lou got was that the floors in the high school were sinking. That is absolutely untrue. Not true at all. We do have a problem, though, with some floors in the high school and in the field house. The upper floors have a vibration problem. When I say vibration problem, they have excessive bounce in them. So when you walk across them or somebody walks by you, you can feel a little bit of a trembling. And sometimes when you're in stores, you will feel that also. That is not acceptable to us, never has been. We have had people in firms engineering firms who have done studies and taken measurements. It is not a safety issue at all. It never has been. What it is a comfort issue. We are not comfortable feeling that vibration. We have engineers who are working on that problem. Our architect, MKC, is working, I think, round the clock trying to come up with a solution to the problem. So like I said, it's not a safety issue, it's a comfort issue. Those vibrations are not capable of causing damage, but they are disruptive, and they would be disruptive and noticeable to students who are sitting in the classroom, and it would disrupt learning. So we need to get the problem fixed. One of the other rumors was that the project is delayed. At this point, the project is not delayed because we don't know what the fix is. They have not come up with a fix. Until we know what the fix is and how long the fix will take, then we would know whether or not there's going to be a delay to the project. If the project is delayed, there is a possibility that the new building would not open in the fall. That's a possibility, but right now we're going on the presumption that we are opening on time. So that rumor has floated. If that building were not to open on time, the other rumor was Spring Hill was not going to close. Well, that would be true. If we don't open on time, we still have to use Spring Hill, and we would still have to use the current high school until that building is ready to open. We as a district won't accept a building that we're not satisfied with until that problem has been corrected. As a district, we are not responsible for the cost of fixing that problem. That will come with the other parties involved. It is not our responsibility to pay that cost. So those are some of the rumors that we've heard out there. The floors are not sinking. The floors have a little bit of a vibration in them. We're working round the clock to get those problems fixed. That's where we are on the problems at the high school. As you go through the high school, it is a magnificent facility. But we would rather get the problem fixed and get it fixed right rather than rush through and open a school and have a problem. So if we have to be delayed, then so be it, but the school's going to be right when we open it. It is a gorgeous facility. It's going to be a great learning atmosphere for kids. I am really excited for our young people who are here tonight to be educated in that facility. You're going to love it. And if we have to wait a few extra weeks, then we'll wait. Any questions from the board?
No, Spring Hill wasn't slated to be closed.
Spring Hill is slated to be closed next year, then Roosevelt would move in the following year.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, but I mean,
not permanently.
not
You are
permanent. That's, see,
correct.
that's what I understood her to say, that Spring Hill was going to be closed, period, but
The other question in that email
Yeah.
was kids getting out of school a week early at the end of the year. That is not true either. The Spring Hill students were to get out 2 days early, and that's to help teachers pack up their belongings so we can make that move to the new high school. Now that could all change possibly, and we'll see. Hopefully we will have a solution within the next 2 weeks, and we will go from there. High school students, same thing. Final exams are over at the high school May the 28th. Everybody gets out of school here May 30th, so we're talking a couple days early. And that's to help people pack things up, because if we really are moving into the high school at the beginning of next school year, I think everybody has to be out of the building by June the 9th. That's pretty quick. Okay? Anything else? Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank you, Bill. At this time, we will have a construction budget update by Mr. Foreman.
I think you said you'd try not to break it, and I think you just did.
Okay, good. Got that fixed.
Very good.
All right. We currently are out to bid on our final 2 bid packages. One of the bid packages is our Phase 2 site work contract, and we've got the estimate advertised on that at $2,627,000. And our final package is the building demolition contract, which is to demolish the high school and also the administration building. We have an advertised estimate of $750,000 for that work. As I mentioned, those are our last 2 bid packages. We have a pre-bid meeting tomorrow with the prospective bidders, and we open bids next Thursday on March the 28th. On March the 28th, I believe it is. So we're moving forward with opening those bids. We had to actually put in some additional alternates on these final packages to protect our budget. And I'll let you know, I'll read the 5 alternates to you. We have an alternate in the bid documents to construct the visitors and home side ticket booths as at the football stadium. That's alternate 1. Alternate 2 is cost to install additional landscaping inside as opposed to grass seed in areas, certain areas around the building. Alternate 3 is to construct an amphitheater backdrop from some decorative stone pieces that are coming off of the old high school. Alternate 4 is cost to construct the baseball field and softball field amenities. And when we talk about amenities, we're talking about things like fencing and dugouts, base paths, special infield dirt, those kinds of things. And alternate 5 is for some outdoor furniture at the student dining plaza, some tables and chairs for the 5th alternate. So from there, we'll open the bids up and see what the dollars that we have available allow us to afford. Hopefully we can afford all the alternates in the bid package or in the bid opening, but had some concerns about the budget. And our concerns are, if you remember, we have 2 pots of money that we are dealing with on the project. One is a co-funded pot of money, which are dollars that are co-funded by both the state and by the school district. And those dollars are primarily for the construction of the new 712 facility, parking areas associated with the facility, and grading of ball fields as part of the co-funded work. On the LFI budget is where we have some concerns. We're concerned about spending more LFI dollars than what we have available in the project. So to protect that LFI side, we decided as a team to add some additional alternates into this final bid package. I'd like to remind the board that 3 years ago or so when we were going through the design phase reviews, specifically the schematic design reviews, which was our second design phase review. We had talked about a concern about not having enough dollars in the LFI pot of money to fund all the additional work that was attributable to LFIs. And that's the concern we still have today, and hence the reason why we've got the additional alternates in the project to protect that budget. The things that we had talked about back in December of 2010 that we were concerned about were the dollars to demolish the administration building. When we went through that process, we found some underground storage tanks that weren't in the budget that had to get taken out. There were some hazardous materials, abatement things that had to get taken out, asbestos and what have you. We also did not include dollars to do the work on the maintenance building, which is part of that administration building complex. So those were some LFI dollars that were added in. And then also the ball field amenities. There were not a lot of dollars put aside at that point in time for the ball field amenities. So here again, as we get towards the end of the project, we're finding that we may have some issues with being able to buy everything that we wanted to buy in these last big bid packages, hence the need to put the alternates in there.
And I assume you'll come to us before having to drop any alternates or anything like that, so we'll get the final decision on which alternates we want to proceed with.
Absolutely. The board will be able to select which of those alternates you want to purchase.
So Jeff, you said you put them back into this bid process?
It was they were originally in the scope of the documents that we were reviewing. Right. And as we did our estimating, we found out that we were coming in over budget on the estimate. So as a way to protect the estimate, we said, let's identify things that we can move off of the table, off of the base bid, still get pricing on those things, and allow the school board to have the discretion as to which of those alternates you want to buy. Do you want to buy one of them? You want to buy 3 of them? Or in fact, you want to buy all 5 of them? It's just a way to protect the base bid number and the dollar exposure on the project. And we've done that process pretty much in all of the bid packages that we have bid. On the 712 building, when we bid that work, we had a host of alternates, and I think we went through that process of identifying which alternates were of most importance and looking at the cost on the alternates and making selections from there.
So this is it? Our last 2 bid packages, and then we're done?
We're done.
So when you put the bid packages out, they're separate, like you're saying the visitors in the home ticket booth is one, it'll come in as one price, and then the landscaping, the sod will come in as a second so that we can separate it, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
Any idea how competitive this bid package will be? I know we've had varying levels of competition, and just from people that have picked up the package so far, any sense on that?
I haven't looked at the numbers of bidders this week, but last week when we first issued the bid documents, we got on the phone and we called all the bidders who provided us bids on the first site work contract we issued for bids a couple years ago, and also the bidders who provided us with the demolition bid for the first phase of demolition on the high school. So all those bidders told us they were interested in bidding the project, so we're gonna have coverage on the bids.
And where are we at with our co-funded budget? That is sound?
We are sound on the co-funded budget. We are in the black on the co-funded budget. I'm concerned about some overspending on the LFI budget.
Any other questions?
Not this time.
All right. Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
It is recommended that the board approve the minutes of the regular meeting of February 19th, 2013, and the work session of February 23rd, 2013.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Collins.
Yes.
Mr. Hess.
Yes.
Mr. Dinkins.
Yes.
Mr. Hofer.
Yes.
Mrs. Dodson.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item number 6, citizens' comments on agenda items. Are there any citizens' comments on the agenda items at this time? Seeing none?
Oh, there's one back
Wait a
here.
minute, you have a hand back here.
Yes, please.
The agenda item being that you discussed the concrete issue, which I'm very happy to hear that there really isn't any major problems with that in the school. My question is, and it may just be a rumor, what about the field house? I was under the impression that the floor of the field house had to be torn up because of concrete issues. Could you direct that?
Correct, and it's the same issue. It had too much bounce to it. So they decided to tear that out and start over, basically. The field house is nearly complete other than that floor in the wrestling room, and it had too much bounce to it. So they're trying to design a different way to support that and take the bounce out. So it'll be perfectly safe, just was not comfortable to us. Good question.
And
Thank
we're
you.
not paying for that fix at the field house either.
We're not paying for that fix either.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
At this time, item number 7, payment of bills. It is recommended that the board approve payment of bills for the month of February pending audit.
So moved.
Second?
Mrs. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mr. Dinkins?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item number 8, payment of bills then and now. It is recommended that the board approve a resolution for payment of bills per ORC section 5705.41D.
So moved. Second.
Mary Lou.
I can't get my private notes to come up.
Mrs. Dodson?
Hang on.
Oh, can we,
Mary Lou
you
had a
explain
question.
that, Chris?
Just, tell us about that.
The then and now certificate, during our audit, when you have a construction project, we could have either issued a purchase order for like $2 million to cover all the future bills, but we decided we were issuing purchase orders as we get the bills. We track it a little better that way. Well, when you do that, typically in a construction project, you get the bill. It's not like a normal purchase order where when you get an invoice for the construction project, the invoice is sent and then it goes through all the different people. It goes through Regency, and by the time it comes to us, it could be, the invoice could be in, say, February, and we're in March. So the auditor said when that occurs, you're gonna have to list every single one out, that you cannot backdate the purchase order. And that's no problem, but you have to have board approval. I mean, if I didn't do it, it's perfectly legal, it's just that it would show up on my management letter, on my audit, and I want to eliminate as many of those as you can put.
I just, thought,
Housekeeping that keeps the state auditor very happy,
and that's what we want to do.
and that's what we want to do.
I would just wanting a clarification
That's good.
for everyone,
Good,
so.
good question.
all
Thanks,
right.
Mary Lou.
Okay, Mrs. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mr. Dinkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes. Motion passes. Item 9, acceptance of financial reports. It is recommended that the board accept the financial reports from the treasurer for February 2013.
So moved.
Second?
Question. They didn't come through, so I haven't seen those. Can we table that?
I was able to print mine,
But
Dave.
those, I mean, I got the ones for this expense report, but I didn't get the rest of them. Is it the same?
Is this it, Chris?
You should have gotten all your, like, your Bud Sum, and, no, those are the attachments. We could do that, we could table
Didn't we-
that.
Sure.
Didn't it get through?
No.
See, next month what we're doing is, we send them out via email, but we're gonna, next month, Paulette and Janet talked, and they're gonna actually attach them on here as an
So I
attachment.
thought they came as a separate attachment.
They did,
Right.
Okay, that attachment, that second, I've used to get them. And
right.
this month it didn't come through. And I
If you're the only
believe-
one that didn't get it, you could abstain if you would like.
That's fine, I can do
But
that.
we have gone over, your,
Well, I know you answered questions, but I thought that was from payment of bills.
it is. You must have not got the complete.
I downloaded from my laptop, so for some reason it came through on that.
You wanna just abstain?
I will abstain because I
Okay.
haven't seen those
Okay.
reports.
Did you go through here when you?
I'll have
Yes, I
Janet
did.
send you another copy too.
Yeah, I go through my laptop.
I go all the way through here. It comes right to
Mrs.
the email
Dodson?
address.
Yes.
Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Dinkins?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
I'll abstain.
Motion passes. Item 10, personnel. It is recommended that the board approve the following personnel items. Item 10.1, resignation. Accept the resignation of 2-hour cafeteria employee Ashley Sabatino, effective March 15th, 2013. Item 10.2, volunteer coach. Approve Mike Canavan as a volunteer varsity assistant baseball coach for the 2012-13 school year, pending proper licensure. 10.3, bus drivers. Employ the following bus drivers per the negotiated agreement pending proper licensure. Lynn Benninger, effective February 25th, 2013. Richard Stover, effective March 4th, 2013. Kenneth Lemon, effective March 18th, 2013. 10.4, classified substitutes. Employ the following as classified substitutes per the negotiated contract pending proper licensure, effective the first day assigned. Cheryl Wagner, Jennifer Hyde, Tina Farling, Jennifer Ray. 10.5, Project More. Employ Michelle Nagel as Project More Coordinator for Spring Hill through the end of the 2012-13 school year to be paid from grants. 10.6, Employment. Employ Peggy Hartong as a 2-hour cafeteria employee at the high school per the negotiated contract pending proper licensure effective March 11, 2013. Item 10.7, sub-bus driver monitor. Employ Patricia Breeden as a substitute bus driver monitor per the negotiated agreement pending proper licensure effective the first day assigned.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
And then Mrs. Dodson.
Mary Lou?
Yep.
Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Dinkins?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mrs. Dodson?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 11, yearbook donation. It is recommended that the board approve donating surplus Spartana yearbooks to the Ohio Genealogical Society in order for them to complete their collection. The years available for donating are 1964, 66, 67, 76, 81, 83, 84, 86, 88, 91, 92, 93, 94, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, and 2012.
So moved.
I'll second. I just had a question too. Where is the Ohio Genealogical Society? Is that in Akron? Is it Columbus? Is it? This
Columbus.
Columbus, okay.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna defer to Mrs. Furl on that question because she's done all the work on that.
So now, could I point out that we say excess yearbooks? The high school maintains 2 copies of the high school maintains 2 copies of every yearbook that we have, of which we have 2 copies. Sometimes we just have 1, but we have a minimum of 2 that they never leave the building. The others we've been trying to get to the either Historical Society, genealogy. Plus, we've had a lot of alumni come in and purchase them. So
Do
I
we
just
have,
wondered.
do we have a lot of excess books?
I'm sorry.
Do we have a lot of excess books?
Yes, we do. We
Oh.
have, and depending upon the year, because when a yearbook is published, there's always overrun that, and many of the companies sent them to us. If you take out part of the page and give it back to them, because they're going to junk them anyway, and or whatever they do with them, but
Yeah.
and they would give them to us to sell if someone wanted to buy them that way. So for some years, we may have 50 extra yearbooks just for a couple,
Yeah.
but we've been trying to get them out into the hands of the people who would enjoy them, and it's been a nice response.
Does the Genealogical Society have every other year other than
I
these?
can't answer that, Mr. Hess. I don't know. I know they have others. Those are the ones that we knew we had at least 2 of, and in some cases more. but I don't know how many others that they do have. And I know the Akron Public Library would like to have a donation too, if to their main library because of research. But we thought we would wait until we got everything organized for the move, and then allow the people in the township that wanted to buy them, and then when we have excess, we'll ask to be able to donate some of those.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Mrs. Frola.
Chris, please.
Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Dinkins?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mrs. Dodson?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 12, Frontline Customer Agreement. It is recommended that the board approve a customer agreement for the use of Frontline's time and attendance system for the 2013-14 school year at the annual subscription rate of $2,200.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions or discussion?
Is this a new system?
No, this is
This
what
is
we're
the
currently
same one,
using.
right? Okay.
Correct.
Okay, I did read the contract. Do we have a backup plan in case some, like Dustin, cannot be available to run that? Because that's in the contract, that we actually have a second person on hand that knows the system.
Mr. Lascos knows it pretty well.
Okay.
And that's not an increase?
I'm going to defer to Dustin, and I think it's actually a decrease.
That is actually a decrease from the current amount we've been paying. They have changed their structure. In the past year, we paid per person that was enrolled in the system. This is just a fixed rate for the entire year, which actually, because of their new structure, decreases the cost that will be charged for the system.
Is there any way to, what's the possibility of exploring a long-term contract?
At this time,
There's
they
none?
only offer the annual contract.
Okay.
Chris?
Like you're thinking. Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Dinkins?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mrs. Dodson?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 13, House Bill 59 resolution. It is recommended that the board approve a resolution opposing provisions in House Bill 59 that transfer public dollars to support private education.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments?
Yeah. I mean, I basically support that, but House Bill Resolution 59 is 4,200 pages, and I haven't had a chance to go through any of it yet. About the first 30 pages. I'd like to, at least time to go through that. I do support it, but I'd like to have some time where I can go through that House bill.
Yes, you know, I can be honest, I'm not gonna read the 2,000 pages of the House bill.
Well, obviously some of it's pretty dry, especially in the front, where they have all the resolutions of the parts of the bill. But I'd just like some time to go through that.
I admire you for wanting to do that, Dave, and if you wanna postpone it, I'm happy to do that. I mean, I can say right now, I'm not gonna read the House bill. I feel like I know enough about the general purpose of the bill to vote on it tonight, but I guess I would let some of the other school board members weigh in.
Well, and this doesn't say that we're opposing the entire House Bill 59. It's just a provision of transfer public dollars that support private education. So it's not the entire bill.
That's correct.
I would
I
hope
agree.
everybody here opposes transferring of public dollars to charter schools. And that's what
Absolutely.
it's talking about.
Absolutely.
I think every child needs and deserves to be educated, but I think the state of Ohio and Columbus need to find out another way rather than shifting dollars from the public schools to the charter schools. It's just shifting dollars is what it's doing. And it's not a solution at all, in my estimation.
I agree, and I think that if parents want to send their children to private schools, I think they should have that right, but I don't think they should be subsidized through the public school system.
No.
And at the expense of public schools.
And that's what we're voting on here is that part of
Correct.
House Bill 59.
You good?
I would feel comfortable voting for it. I mean, I admire you for wanting to read 2,000 pages of,
It's actually 4,200.
4,200 pages.
I'm gonna see exactly where they're pulling this out. That's my motive.
I could show
If
you
you-
though.
if you can find it.
It's my bill.
Well,
In 4,000 pages,
I mean,
good luck.
Chris has a pretty good idea of how much money is coming from our district out to those or those private schools.
And I would bet, Dave, that you will have read it more than any of the members of the House of the Ohio House. Because I don't think they even read their own bills.
That's the general idea.
It's 700 per student is what they're trying to pull off, right? Per student from the public.
Yeah, and we already have $800,000 leaving our district every
It's a
year.
lot of money.
To take money from our district to ECOT, White Hat, you name it,
For-profit schools.
for-profit schools,
Education is not for profit.
and it's gonna get worse. You know,
and the reason we want to approve a resolution like all other school districts in Ohio is because we want to send a message to the legislature that it's not okay to approve that House bill. And I don't know when they're voting on it, but I would guess it's rather soon.
Right.
There is a rally tomorrow, as a matter of fact, at the State House, and of people that are going down. They've asked for people to go down and show the legislators that this is not okay, and it's during the day. So it's happening. People are opposing it, and I
it's
oppose it.
expanding too. It's not so much, we're gonna go from charter to digital academies, and then before you know it, they're gonna start doing it to private,
Homeschool.
parochial. Now that I'm not so concerned about, because the parochials will govern themselves. It's not gonna be every child that wants to go to Walsh is gonna be able to go to Walsh, and every child that wants to go to Hoban is gonna be able to go to Hoban, because the bottom line is Hoban and Walsh and St. V and all the other very expensive private schools in our area have standards. And I'm sure the people that send their kids to those schools want those schools to continue with those standards. So that's not the real concern. It's just all these other, what I call buildings, you know, that you'll be driving down the road and all of a sudden you notice it's a for-profit academy and we have 50 of our kids sitting there. And it's just a very disturbing trend that's going on, and it makes our life in public education very difficult.
Especially when really their standards aren't that, they don't have the
They
standards.
don't have to adhere to the standards of
No.
the public, that's correct.
Correct.
Or the reporting requirements, I don't believe.
Right.
That's correct,
That is
Reporting
correct
requirements
also.
aren't the same either.
And they put the pressure on us, but they,
that's right. The vast majority fail. There are some that do not, but they are very exclusive, and they're tailored for the well-to-do. They do fine, as expected, but the average that we read about in the paper would fail all of our state standard tests that we have to pass.
And the frustrating part to schools like Springfield is we're continually asked to do more with less, yet charter schools seem to be doing less with more. It's not fair.
I would like to see us vote on this because I think the timing is critical. Because
Absolutely.
it's, this is the time they're gonna be voting on it. And if we table this, we're gonna lose a month and we may be the only district in Summit County not to pass it.
I agree. I think, Dave, if you want to abstain again, I'd respect and
I would respect also.
Absolutely.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Chris, can we have a motion?
Vote.
We
Mrs.
did-
Dodson? We already have the vote.
There was
Yep.
a motion.
Yes.
And a second.
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry, can we have a vote?
Mr. Dinkins?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
I'm gonna stay.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 14, amended appropriations. It is recommended that the board approve the amended appropriations for fiscal year 2013.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Dodson?
yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mr. Dinkins?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 15, fund transfer. It is recommended that the board approve the following fund to fund transfer. 2034, 1/2 mil permanent improvement, 7 through 12 building, $376,780.28. From 003-9010, 1/2 mil, permanent improvement, 7 through 12 building, $376,780.28.
I'll explain this one.
Please do.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Basically, when we set up the permanent improvement fund after the May 2011 levy, we set it up as a 0039010, which was fine with the state auditors. And if you remember, we were getting audited by the state auditors for our normal books and the state auditors for our fiscal emergency. Well, when you're an OSFC project, they also bring in another set of auditors, and they want to see our PI fund set up in a separate 034. So what I did is at that time, I looked at the balance, and remember, this PI fund hasn't been touched. We don't touch it till the building's done. So it's just accumulating funds for a certain period of time. So when you have a building of that size, there's gonna be issues that you have to fix. So all it was taking money that was sitting there in my 003 fund and transferring it over to my 034 fund. Any transactions that occur after today automatically go into the 034 fund. But again, that's just, there's no money going out. There's no expenditures. This is all revenue. We haven't touched it. We actually, right,
I don't want to interrupt you.
I'm done.
This isn't the permanent improvement that we renew all the time. This was
No.
the permanent improvement that was passed with the building.
With the bond
With
levy,
the bond levy.
that half
correct.
mil, that's
That's
by
to
law.
keep- Yeah, to
And
keep
we-
the building going
And we haven't touched a dime of that
Yeah.
money.
Right.
It's more of maintaining this new building. It's not a permanent improvement. It's to take care of filters, pumps, and the whatnot of that new
That's
building.
correct.
And that was built into that.
That's right.
And after this today, you won't have to tell us anything. It'll
No.
just be deposited in there and we'll
Right,
see it
the
on
only
the.
time you'll actually see any activity is probably a year or two after the building's done, when there is maybe, hopefully, not for 5 or 6 years, but something will break. Or something will need to be done. It's a big building, it's just like building a house. You build a house, something's gonna go wrong, you can't build a 200,000 square foot building and not expect something. And that's what this fund's gonna be for. Anything outside of the warranty, that is. In the beginning, you'll have warranties on a lot of this stuff, but then after that, that's what this fund's for.
Unless there's any other discussion, do we have a vote, Chris?
We need a motion first.
There wasn't.
There
There was a
was.
motion,
Mary Lou
second was a
seconded.
second.
Oh, really?
Me
Yes.
and Mary Lou.
I slipped it in on you.
Okay, Mrs. Collins,
Yes.
Mrs. Dodson.
Yes.
Mr. Hofer,
Yes.
Mr. Dinkins.
Yes.
Mr. Hess.
Yes. Item 16, Internet Service Contract. It is recommended that the board approve a service provider contract for internet service with Northeast Ohio Network for Educational Technology, NeoNet.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
I had a question. Dustin, this is your area, I'm assuming?
It is.
Yeah. So this is for the new building?
Yes, this
And-
is wireless service
so-
for the new building. It's, instead of purchasing a hosted or a controller to maintain and all the wireless access points in the new building, we're purchasing this hosted service through NeoNet. They already have a controller there, so we save the money from buying the controller, and plus we receive ongoing support with this contract to help maintain that wireless service, rather than that falling all on our shoulders to maintain and keep that system upgraded. The upgrades are very costly over the course of time, and the controller was very costly as well. So this will save us a great deal of money by doing this.
Good, thank you.
Multi-year contract?
This is a 3-year.
Through 2015, I
15.
think. Yeah.
And the cost of this is E-ratable, so we get a 74% discount.
Yay.
Oh, good.
Hosted, Dustin, could you?
The controller.
Elaborate.
All the access points that we have in the new building will be controlled by a large appliance that will be sitting at NeoNet, so it won't be here with us.
Okay.
Is the terminology behind the hosted, that they're providing that service to us.
Okay.
Now, that will be all hooked to that big bundle of wires that I see. I mean, literally,
Yeah, it's.
You get
Almost.
5
it
cables.
was, I've never seen so many wires.
And we currently don't have that.
No, because we do have wireless service within the buildings now, but it's just been individual access points throughout the building, which we've set up and maintained. But going large scale like this, we're going to have you know, 150 some access points in this new building. To manage that scale could take up a large amount of time without this type of service or controller.
Justin, does this affect our other buildings? It has no effect on our other buildings at all? They're still just going to maintain what they have right now? Or is this?
This will also include.
This will include.
Yeah,
all
the main
okay.
purpose of this is with the new construction building, but this will also bring the rest of the buildings on that hosted
Under
service.
one
So we
roof
have one solution for all of our wireless
Great.
network throughout the district rather than
Great.
have
Thank
mixed
you.
systems.
And from a reliability standpoint, I assume it's very reliable.
Yes, there have been, we're not the first district to purchase this hosted solution with NeoNet. This summer will be the third year that they've offered that solution, and there have been several districts that have been on it and been very happy. I've talked to all the tech directors in those districts before moving forward with this, and they've been all very happy with it, haven't had any problems or anything with the service.
So before we were using routers, kind of like?
And especially the equipment that's in the rest of the buildings, they'll be hosted with this, but we'll continue to utilize the same equipment that we already have. We won't be purchasing any new equipment for this. We've already had the Cisco wireless access points. They'll just be managed differently.
Okay.
Chris, could we have a motion, please? Or I'm sorry, a vote, please?
Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Dinkins?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mrs. Dodson?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 17, Treasurer's Report.
I'll keep this short. Nothing's really changed.
You always say that.
I know I do. I want to keep saying that for about 10 more years.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about a couple things, though, that have changed, and not necessarily for the good. It's just,
Thank you.
it's the nature of the beast. Put a couple out here to take everybody. What I want to focus on tonight is,
Thank you.
again, our bottom line has pretty much stayed the same. I mean, our cash balance is expected to remain very healthy. The second line, though, is the benefit line. And you'll notice that it's up 10% from last year. And it's not that the cost of benefits are up 10%, it's just that with the self-insured plan, if you notice, this is benefit line 3.02. If you noticed in August of last year, and that's the fiscal 12 number, so it's the second page, benefit line 3.02. Last year, we had 3 what I call vacation holidays, and that's when you'll see, typically it costs us $450,000 to $500,000 a month for benefits and any associated taxes. But last year we had 3 months that was $170,000 to $200,000. The reason for that is our insurance fund exceeded the recommended balance, meaning I like to keep about $600,000 in our self-insurance plan. Well, last year it got up to $800,000 to $900,000. So 1 month we didn't charge it, which means it didn't hit the general fund.
Right.
Well, this year that hasn't happened, and it hasn't happened because we got our renewal, and unfortunately, some years you have catastrophic events, meaning employees and/or dependents and/or spouses. And it happened that we had a couple catastrophic events with some of our employees. When I say catastrophic, I mean hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that happened. So our insurance costs are going up a little bit this year. Now, it's not a maintenance issue, meaning that this problem isn't, these are problems that were fixed. We don't expect it again next year, but that happens every once in a while. I mean, in years past, if we dig back 15, 20 years, sometimes, we had a big increase in our premiums. We kept our premiums pretty low. I mean, relative to other districts, our employees are very fortunate to pay very low premiums. And we manage it. Our prescriptions are continuing to be managed by the employees very well, meaning that they are, a bigger portion of them are steering towards generics, and we still have an issue with a drug that we're offering free. I mean, if they switch from the name brand to the generic plan, we'll give it to them for free. No copay, no nothing. It's kind of hard, though, to get these people, we got about half of them. But again, as we all know, when you go into your doctor's office and your doctor tells you to take a certain drug, we typically don't question our doctors. We don't. That's human nature. But the offset, the generic equivalent, is just as good. You might have to take 2 pills instead of 1 pill. But those are the things that we're trying to do. But our employees are doing a great job. They really are. They're managing their prescriptions compared to historical numbers very, very well. And that's why our finances are doing so well. It's just stuff like that. That's it.
Thank you, Chris. Any other questions? Then we will move to the business manager's report. Dan?
Don't you have to vote?
I'll see you.
Report.
No, that was just your treasurer's report.
Okay.
I'll second it, Chris.
Got
Couple
me all
items.
discombobulated tonight.
Food service finished about 6,000 in the black for February, so we're up to approximately 52,000 in the black for the year. So the managers are doing a real good job. There will be a notice out to the parents, lunch prepay. That's the system where parents can get online, use their credit cards to make payments into the students' accounts. That's going to be changed. It's now going to be called myschoolmoney.com. Parents will get notifications and emails. It's the same credentials, screen names to sign in. They're expanding so that in the future, if we want to take advantage of, parents paying fees online like yearbooks, field trips, supplies, buying tickets, can do it with a credit card online, and just help the parents with paying school fees. So that's notice will be coming out March 26th. Another item that happened in food service, Dustin and I worked together to file a grant. Ohio Department of Education had a technology grant for food service. We went ahead and filed for student ID cards that have the photos and magnetic strips. We thought we could use that on the lunch line with the scanners, so kids do not have to input their student ID number, but Dustin said there's future possibilities of using it for student attendance, library books, different things. So I don't know if we'll get that grant because Chris says we're too healthy in food service compared to other school districts, but we're trying.
Being healthy.
Right.
How much was that grant for, Dan?
That was $6,000. And if it kind of looks like a really good idea, I mean, you get the camera, the supplies, the cards, the software, the machine that actually prints all that in the magnetic strip. Seems like a really good idea to have and use. So even if we don't get it, we'll look at our budget, which should be pretty healthy at the end of this year, to buy that, because last year we did buy the point of sale system for food service, so that seems to be working really well. But other than that, that's maintenances, fighting steam leaks. There was a few bad ones at Roosevelt, but I think they're under control. But any questions? That's all I have.
I just want to say, 3 years ago, we were running significant deficits in food service, and now we're running significant surplus, so
Yeah.
thank you.
And it helps, we consolidated all those buildings, and now with the new 712 building, that's gonna help, again, just consolidate the labor, and it helps.
And the
It helps
point,
us too, because you have to understand, in the past, if Dan goes into a deficit, we have to, now that we're out of fiscal emergency, we'd have to transfer funds from the general fund to make the 06 fund whole. Now that he's running surpluses, he'll get to be able to use the excess money to buy much needed equipment, programs, stuff like hardware for outside of the new 712. So that's, not many districts have, you know, the ability to have surplus, especially considering this is the first year under this new program that was instituted by the federal government, and everybody was very concerned at the beginning of the year with all this new nutrition that we were gonna, at least I was, you know, after you read all the articles, but it seems to be working out very well.
And the point of sale purchase, it's doing exactly what we had hoped it would do, which is nice, yeah.
Yeah, it generates revenue, because the more invisible it is, which is a big intent of it,
Right.
especially for free and reduced of secondary students. If you think about that, if it becomes an invisible system where nobody knows you're free and reduced, then the children will participate even more.
They'll eat.
Well, yeah, and even more important than the finances in that case, is children are eating. And
But kids are kids, and especially secondary. I know when I was a teenager, it's just the way it is, human nature. So it's a win-win-win for our district.
You know what, with having 4 children in schools, and I had, you know, it would have been so nice to just click a button from home and say, there's your 40 cents.
Yeah.
Instead of having to dig through, you know, and find change.
But the system is really good. Parents do not have to use lunch prepay. There is a slight fee for making a transaction online, but we accept personal checks, cash. I just had a parent come in today. She's been giving her son, I think that's a Spring Hill student, $20 every, I don't know, few weeks for lunches, and he's kind of running it was only a $2 negative balance, but she goes, he should have tons of money. She came in, we gave him a printout from the first day of school. He's never deposited a 20. He's been paying as he goes, but she found he was buying power drinks at the corner or somewhere instead of.
Kids will be kids.
So she's now going to send in personal checks. So
It does make it nice for the parents. I know our kids, they don't buy a lot, but it's nice that we can give them $10 and off they go, and then they can keep going for a few weeks and no problem. So it's
it also gives you an audit trail of what you're not so much on primary again, but secondary. It gives you an audit trail of what your kids are eating. So when they tell you, "Oh, I don't have enough money," and then we do this over at the other district. We had a young man, a football player, that was eating 3 or 4 double cheeseburgers a day, plus giving his friends a couple a day. And I mean, we're talking $20 to $25 a day he was spending. Wow. And his mother and father were like, this is impossible, until we actually produced the report that had his key code on it, and he finally fessed up to his parents why his $200 a month lunch fix was going the way it was. So it helps the parents too.
a lot of good things about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to be generous.
Item number 19, Superintendent's Report.
Neil, you stole my thunder. I was sitting here thinking the exact same thing that you were. We used to be talking about a food service deficit of $100,000 to $150,000 a year. Now we're $52,000 in the black. Just outstanding job. Same way with the school budget. When I first got here 6 years ago, we were looking at a couple of $1 million in the red. Now, at the end of the fiscal year, we're looking at a $7.5 million carryover. It's been a team effort. I think I don't say it often enough. I have a great administrative team. Most of them are here tonight. Thank you for being here. They do a wonderful job. You got a sense of it when Dustin was talking, when Dan was talking about food service. Cynthia's at the high school. Lisa and Dave, thanks for hosting us tonight. The place looks great. Thank you. They do a great job, though. They really do. And that's why this district has turned around. We have a great team. On another note, Mrs. Ganser, who's not here tonight, asked me to remind everybody that the Young Carnival is this Saturday from 3 to 6 p.m. That's an annual event. The kids have a great time there. Another thing, the new board office, we are there, we're moved in. It is wonderful. Thank you very, very much. It's a professional atmosphere. It is unbelievable, the staff morale, how that has changed and dramatically gone up. I'm anxious. Thursday, we have our first administrative meeting in those new digs, so we're excited to do that. And somebody has already requested use of the board office that I have there to use that conference room over spring break for something. So that's wonderful. Winter Athletic Awards are tomorrow at 6 o'clock in the high school gym. One other thing that we don't say enough, and I thanked them this evening when I got here, Channel 15 kids, you do an amazing job. They were surprised when I said that, but they do. They're the ones behind the camera that the people on TV never see. Thank you very much. You guys are outstanding. You're welcome. And that's it.
Thank you, Bill.
And not only that, Angela usually she's always at 40 Jakes also at the meeting there. So thank you.
I see her directing her cohort here, occasionally tapping him on the shoulder, saying camera up or down. I noticed that tonight. Thanks for all you do, though.
Item number 20, items worthy of your note. March 21st, Young Elementary K through 3rd conferences from 4 to 8 p.m. March 21st, High School and Spring Hill report card pickup from 4 to 7 p.m. March 29th, spring vacation begins. April 8th, classes resume. And April 16th, next regular meeting of the Board of Education at Young Elementary School. At this time, we will take citizens' comments. Yes.
As a lifelong resident of Springfield School District, as an alumni of the class of 1971, and as a voter who has consistently supported all school-related issues and levies since I was 18, and supported most of the current board members sitting here tonight, it is with a great disappointment and a heavy heart that I am here regarding the board's decision not to replace the alumni pictures in the new school building. I am one of 44 family members who attended Springfield and whose pictures hung proudly in the high school. My family has a combined service of over 102 years of service in different capacities in the school. So maybe because of that, I bleed a little bit more red and gray than some of you, but it is a disturbing thought, in my opinion, that the board feels that the alumni are no longer significant in the history of the school and that their new role is to be archived and viewed only with technology. While the pictures that tell the story of our history will be given to a historical society that has no room for displaying these pictures. In fact, the trustee that I talked to told me they would probably end up in a storage attic above the office building. And I'm all for technology, especially when it pertains to education and the safety of our children. But this technology that you are replacing the alumni pictures with falls in neither of those categories. Although I'm not saying it is a terrible idea, it should only be used in conjunction with replacing the original alumni pictures, or just start off the first graduating class from the new school that way. And I also would just like to know if you have contacted your legal counsel regarding this. In the past, alumni has had the expectations that their pictures will hang on the walls. I do not believe that they had expected their pictures to be accessible through the internet. And in this sue-happy society that we live in, where everybody has a lawyer in their family, it just takes one person who's not happy about this that will sue the board. Are you prepared? Are releases and waivers required to be signed by alumni? And have you looked into the legal aspects of this? Yes, I realize the pictures are old and some are in need of repair, and they may not complement the new school decor, but I think those are issues that could be worked out. And I respectfully ask that you reconsider your decision and to try to work out a compromise on this issue that takes into consideration both the proud past that we want to preserve with the original pictures, as well as the modern technology that you want for the new school. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Would you like to address the legal aspect?
Yeah, the legal aspect, we did check with legal counsel, and there is not a problem displaying those electronically. Those pictures are public domain because they're part of yearbooks. One thing that we have talked about, though, and it was a good question or a good point that you brought up, we will probably have some sort of waiver or sign off for people who don't want their pictures displayed electronically, and we would do that.
How would you do that with the families that are already deceased, with the people that are already deceased from the original pictures from years ago?
I'm not sure.
Right.
Hadn't given that a thought.
And I think their family members that would still be living would have the ability to opt out if they would, wish to do so. Any other comments at this time? Yes.
Elder Pounders class of 58. Like the young lady said, my whole family went through Springfield High School, and new is nice, but why are we forgetting our heritage? I mean, in this township, I mean, this school, I mean, the school is the soul. Well, I'm getting old too, but I still have pride in Springfield Township and the high school. We have a high school that's got all sorts of walls. It's going to be a beautiful building. And I've talked to so many people, they'll come up, they say, well, Elva, you're in this, that, and the other. Why don't you say something? I says, well, there's a lot of people in Springfield Township that could speak up. But again, a lot of them are intimidated. They don't want to come out and say anything. I had a brother who used to be very vocal, as you all know. So I guess I'm speaking for him also. But it kills my soul to think that those pictures are going to be stored away someplace. When a lot of people who live out of town come in, they said that was one of the things they liked about going back to the high school and looking up on the wall to see grandfather, father, mother, brother, sister, kids, and everything. They're there. That's part of us. I just am not against putting them in a cubbyhole someplace. I mean, as long as those pictures are up there, Springfield lives. That's my personal opinion.
I'm Dorothy Snyder. I worked for the school for 25 years, retired. My husband graduated from, and I graduated from Springfield in '52. Our kids have graduated from Springfield. Our grandkids have. Most of the families have. I think some of the older people remember all the Snyders that came to this school. And so we are very concerned about this. And we believe, as Elva does, that it is a connection. It helps. Now, I worked, at my last 6 years, I worked as a custodian, second shift. So I saw people when they came in for different things. And the first thing most of them did was look at the halls, pick out their people. It's a marvelous thing to do. And it's such a connection from one generation to another to another. It's a tradition, and we should keep it. This was the first school I ever went to that did that. And I was so pleased with it. It's warming. So I know lots of the people that I know are interested in keeping those pictures on the walls. And I have, we have, well, I belong to several alumni association, and the over 50, the 50 plus, and we are all into this. Now, I've heard that it's going to cost a lot of money, that they're going to have to be redone and reframed. Well, we are prepared with a little bit of help from the school board or the superintendent to start a fund to help defray the cost of the reframing and fixing these pictures up to hang. But we will need a tax number and that we can get through the superintendent, we use the schools if that's possible. I talked to my bank about it, and that way people can send funds in or come in and leave funds and know that it is going for this particular cause. And so I guess that's all I have to say.
Yes.
For all those concerned about the pictures, the school board's decision, it's easy to voice your opinion. You vote no on all the tax levies, you vote no on all the members that don't want the pictures. And you use the internet and Facebook to get your message across. If they get enough no's and they get enough action, maybe they'll change their mind. That's how I'll vote. I'll vote no on everything. Not that my one vote matters, but everyone you know and everyone, those who care about them knows. That's what our country does.
First of all, I probably have as many relatives as this young lady does that have graduated from Springfield. I know my mom was in the class of 38. I was in 63. In fact, this will be my 50th class reunion year. All three of my children, three of my grandchildren, aunts, uncles, cousins, all the Presslers, they're all my relatives. And I too thought, a lot about that because, like I say, I have a lot of history and memories on those walls. One thing is those pictures would probably have to be hung in the academic walls. Those academic walls are closed off for events. The public really won't be going down the academic halls hardly at all. Because, like I say, during basketball games or events at the school, those academic wings will be closed off. Am I correct?
You are correct.
Safety reasons.
Right, because we do live in a different day and time than we used to live in. I think it's going to be pretty special that my daughter in Spokane, Washington, or my other daughter in Nashville will be able to pull their pictures up and show anybody that's visiting them, or print out a picture if they want to print out a picture, or they can bring up possibly I think the class composite will be available also. I like tradition too, and I can say that I am very comfortable with archiving those on CD, and I don't want our pictures to be thrown away. It's going to cost a tremendous amount of money to restore them. I have taken pictures even of the pictures on the wall of my mother, and I understand how you feel. I think, like I say, I am very comfortable with the decision. I think it's time that we moved on, and I don't think we should ever forget. And I don't think we will forget. Technology today is just to me, it's unbelievable, because it didn't exist when I was growing up at all. And I understand what you're saying. I've had emails, I've had a lot of emails about this, and I've tried to answer them as the best I could.
Thank you, Mary Lou. And I just want to also say, we appreciate your comments. I've also received emails, very passionate, heartfelt emails, very people that love Springfield very much, and we do as well. I think for me, history doesn't change, but the way that history is told does change. It has to change in order to stay relevant in a dynamic society. Somebody asked me a few days ago, when was the last time I bought a set of encyclopedias? That used to be the go-to source to get your history. But you would be hard-pressed to find anybody who's bought a hard copy of encyclopedias, and it's really since the internet has taken off. And that's just an example of how the history itself hasn't changed, but the way that it is told has changed. And again, it must change to reach a broader audience, and to stay relevant. And that's the way I feel about these pictures. We are not forgetting the history of Springfield High School in any way. I think we're telling that history better. I think we're telling the history to a lot of people who aren't able to view it because they don't have access to our hallways because of safety concerns, or maybe they live across the country or even across the world. We're opening that history back up to them. And I think the children, when I look at our children, whether I like it or not, they walk down, they walk down the street and they're looking at their phones. They're not looking. They should be looking where they're going, but they're looking at their phones. They're technologically based. They're wired. I think that our kids are gonna. I think they're gonna utilize the computers and the monitors to look up these pictures. As bad as it sounds, more than they would probably ever look up and look at them on the hallway walls. So I think it's going to provide them a greater connection to our history and our past. I firmly believe we're creating a 21st century school for a 21st century school district, and I just strongly support this decision to go in that direction. Like I said, I don't love the school district less than anybody else. I'll be sending my son here, and that means more to me than anything else. So I will do anything in my power to create the best school system that's possible, and that's really how I feel. Yes, sir.
Sir, could you tell us your name? My
name's Mike Cochran.
Thank you.
My mom taught in Lakemore School for 30 years.
Oh.
Just don't forget how close some of the school levies are and how much you campaign to win that money and get the confidence of the community. So I'll do my best, not that that'll much matter, to make sure it doesn't happen. Yes.
I believe everything you're saying. I believe everything she's saying, and Elva and Mrs. Snyder. I only have one child, my nephew, who I got custody of from 7th grade to when he graduated from Springfield, in Springfield. So he's up on those walls too. At first I didn't think that this was a good idea, but I listened to all the reasons why this would be the answer. Because, as Neil said, and Bill said, that this is the way that this world is changing. Accessibility to buildings, what we used to do to be able to go into the buildings and wander the halls, or you could take somebody in there and look, it isn't what it used to be. So we're trying to bring that to the community and to preserve. We've got, since 1931, pictures that need to be remembered. And so after it was talked about for quite a bit, it didn't come up just with a snap or one board meeting, and there was a lot of thought process in this. To be a board member, you have to read a lot, think a lot, and we do that every day. And we fight hard, and we listen to what you say. So I want you to know that every time that we do something in this school district, we're looking at every angle. And we're trying to do the best for everybody. But in the end run, no buts, in the end run, we try to do the best of what we think is best and vote that way. It's hard. It's very hard. So I respect what you're saying. So it's just that we've done a lot of thinking about this, and it's not just something that came up in one board meeting. There's been a lot of presentations and things like that, and there were different board meetings and things that it came out of. So it wasn't a snap decision. Yes. What's your name, ma'am?
My name is Laura Cochran, and
Hi.
I wanted to respond to Mrs. Snyder. She made a comment here. I just don't understand. Are you guys rejecting her proposal of redoing, starting a fund to redo the pictures? I mean, at one time I thought you had a estimate on how much it would cost to reframe them. She's willing, her and her group, to start a fund to do this without any cost from the board here. And I don't know if you didn't hear or you did, or are you just saying no, we're not going to think about it to her? Because the way I'm hearing you is like you're not even going to consider what she just asked you. She wants to start a fund and not have you even pay for it and raise money to reframe these pictures. Is that not an option?
I wasn't responding to what she said. I was responding to what he said.
I know, but nobody is responding to what she has said. And I'm asking you, are you going to even consider what she said? Or is that just your minds are made up and that's it?
I think we'll take any ideas into consideration,
Okay.
and we certainly appreciate any offer to help the school district. It's something that we can talk about. And an example of that is, one of the constituents brought up the legal issue, and we looked into that. That was a great item for somebody to bring to our attention. And certainly I'll think about it, and I know my colleagues will think about it. I personally am still of the impression that, again, we're creating a technologically based school, a 21st century school.
I agree with that, I really do. But my 90-year-old mother-in-law is not going to have that technology. She enjoyed, and I know that you just can't go in and walk through the schools now, but we had a tour, an alumni tour for our class. So, yeah, we're not just going to go in, but you're going to stop letting people go in on alumni tours? I mean,
I don't think we have any intention of doing that.
well, then
but
if they can go do that, then why can't the pictures, I just think, be up
it's
there at that time?
Also a great bonding opportunity. What about, the chance for your mother-in-law to sit down with a younger generation and have them show her the technology and the pictures online? We can't please everybody all the time, and I think we're trying to do what's best for the district, and we're trying to do what's best for the majority of our alumni and citizens. And we do appreciate the offer.
I think also that in reference to Mr. Snyder about the financial aspect, I don't remember our decision-making process having a lot to do with the finances. It was more about the reasons to change to the technology. It wasn't so much, we can't do this because it's going to cost too much. I don't feel that was really at the top of the list or even near the top of the list of why we made the decision to change. So, I guess, Mrs. Cochran, you're in response to Mrs. Snyder, I don't feel that that was a big issue in our decision-making process. And I want to mention this too. One of the things I like about the way that we're going to do the pictures is there are hundreds, possibly thousands of kids who graduated from Springfield whose pictures are not up on that wall for various reasons. And I'll give you a great example. My wife, 1989 graduate, better get that right. She got her picture in the yearbook. She's not up on the wall. When my kids come to the school and they say, "Why aren't you up on the wall?" she says, "I don't know. I have no idea why." And and I've talked to probably 3 or 4 people whose pictures aren't up on the wall, and they don't know why either. This will give us the opportunity to get the history right. If kids are not up there, okay, and my wife's grandkids someday, they will now have the opportunity, if my wife chooses, to submit her picture, and she will be now part of the history of Springfield. Under the way it's presented right now, she's not even going to be up there, ever. So that's one of the things I like about it. Another thing I like about it is not just the photos, but I think this district's done a poor job of presenting its history when it comes to other things in this district. For instance, our biggest rival is Ellet. What's the history of the shoe? How many people know about it? We can now put this on that website also. And they can come in and they can look at the history of the shoe if they want to come into the school. Why is it named Vince Griffin Stadium? How many people know about that?
Sorry.
I'm guessing you
You're
and
dating
Elva,
me.
a couple other people in here might know. But why is it? We can now put that up on that kiosk also. So I think there are other uses for this, and I think that, you know, I think it's the right decision.
Is this open for discussion?
Sure, that's what we're doing.
Because I do believe in the update in technology, but I also believe firmly that we rehang the pictures, because what school district in the state of Ohio would have a linear history of looking at it analog? Everything we look at digital, you see it there. But it's really for the students in my mind, as I've thought this out and I've read all our emails and we've had discussions on this. And remind me, we've never really came to a formal vote where we formally voted and we had a roll call. I mean, I understand technology, and I like technology, I like gadgets. But I think personally that I also thought we would put them up. I understand at one time Mrs. Frola looked at that, it was about $25,000 at that time. That's what Mr. Stauffer has told us.
No, to restore them.
To restore them.
No, I don't think it was Cynthia. I don't know.
Well,
who-
sorry, I
we
didn't
had
mean
an
to.
estimate, didn't
That
we?
was the number that was thrown out, and that was a few years ago. I think we need to give serious consideration to the Alumni Association and let them develop a plan to pay for these photos. It's for the students in the senior high wing. I understand safety, but when you can see 4 generations on a wall, that's kind of unique. And I understand about telling our history better. But when you look at in an analog display, you can see it from 31 or 33 all the way up to 2013 or 2012, and we go from there on and not hang any more pictures. That would be a decision we'd have to come to, but I have to respectfully say, I'd like to see them up. I've had a change, you know, I've looked at it, I've seen many emails, I've had people call me. I had one call me tonight at 5:30 as I'm getting ready to run out the door from a formal school employee, and she was not on the pictures, and she said, it doesn't matter to me, but it matters to the people that have followed after me and her family. I'd like to see them up. It's kind of a unique thing. It would be a bragging point for our school district. I'll get off the soapbox.
Yes, Elva?
As a personal question here from me, how many on our school board are Springfield graduates?
Just me.
And I would say, you know,
I'm not.
No, I'm just saying, you know, we have a wonderful school board and so forth, but when you graduate from a school, you have feelings towards that school. And I know Mary Lou has mixed feelings and so forth, but to me, it does make a difference. I mean, you're doing a wonderful job of representing our school and being here, or you wouldn't be on the school board. But you do, I mean, I'm assuming everybody on the school board graduated from someplace. And when you have reunions and so forth, I mean, when you go back, I mean, you have feelings towards that school. That's all I wanted to ask.
I appreciate that, Elva. I did not graduate from Springfield. You know, for me, it would not matter. Again, the future generations matter much more to me than my past ever did. So I look at the school that we're trying to create, again, for my son and children of his age and the children that are here now. I chose to move to Springfield. I didn't have to move here, but I moved here and I put down roots. I love this school district. I love this community, and you know, for me, that would not impact my decision. Yes, Ms. Snyder.
That is also one of the things. I've talked to different people, and they've moved here from other areas, and they say it is a friendly community. It is close, and we have had a lot of people come from Springfield that have been well known and have made their mark in the world. It is too bad we don't have more information on what each of the alumna has done that has been so good. with my daughter graduated with a girl who went on to work for NASA, and she solved one of their problems. And I have a friend who is a doctor, and he worked with the FAA, and he was a doctor surgeon in the military. I mean, these people have made their mark, and there are others. I'm sure there are politicians that have come from here too, but if we're just a family area group, some may call us hillbillies, but we're friendly, and we like our people, and we like our neighbors, and we like our children, and we like to see everything. So that's about it.
One of the points you made, one of the things that this board discussed, was it last year when we were talking about the new building, was we would like to see it created, and that's a Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame. You know, most districts, almost all districts have, sports halls of fame.
Well,
a number of districts have Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame, and we as a board want to see that.
Tom Pagna was the backline coach for Paraprosegen of most of his football career.
Right.
And he was from Springfield. He graduated the year 1 or 2 years before I did.
Right.
And great guy.
Right.
Oh, we have Dr. Jackson in Green.
Yes, we do.
And his brother's an attorney, Paul.
And we have Dr. I want to say Brian. Oh, Brian Smith.
Mark Smith.
Mark Smith. That's right, Mark Smith. He's a doctor in Nellet there.
Well, you have
we have all
Kathy,
sorts of.
Regardless of one's politics, we have the lieutenant governor.
Right. Mary Taylor.
That's right.
She graduated with my daughter.
So, and these things are important to us.
I knew Mr. and Mrs. Cochran. You used to live down on Myersville, didn't you?
Pardon?
Didn't you just live down on Myersville?
That was my uncle.
Oh, that was your uncle. Okay, that's who I knew.
My dad retired from 35 years.
Oh, okay.
As good as anybody else.
Oh, yeah. Well, Bob was a teacher at Lake, I believe, and then.
Well, again, we appreciate everybody's comments. Is there any more conversation from the board?
Okay.
I think this is, I think that for myself, that a lot of good points have been brought up. And I think it's something to be thought about, giving serious thought about it. There have been several good points. And I don't think we're going to have the answer, I mean, as far as we're going to have an answer for you tonight. But I love it that you came to ask and to tell us about it. Hopefully we can talk about this again.
Nothing has been written in stone. There's been no vote or no, this is what we kind of wanted to do. We'll see.
It's been a great discussion. This is how we treat all serious topics, and I appreciate everybody's input. I'll be completely honest and candid, as I always am. My opinion hasn't changed. I still support the computer-based and internet-based pictures, but at the same time, I have listened to and appreciate everybody's comments here tonight, and everybody that have reached out to me over the phone and email as well. Hearing no further discussion, we will move to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Dinkins?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mrs. Dodson?
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.
Smart. We have-